This is Kinesiology 231, Fitness Assessment and Programming, and I just want to take a few minutes to acclimate you to the Blackboard shell and maybe navigate the syllabus so that so you have an idea what's happening in the course, what's going to be expected for you through the rest of the semester, and have an idea where to find things when you're on the Blackboard shell. So I want to direct your attention here to the Blackboard shell. This is what you're going to see. The announcements are listed here in front. This is how we're going to do majority of the communication. I'm not going to send out mass emails. I'll do everything via announcements. And this goes to your Harper email address. So if your Harper email address you're not checking that, or you feel you don't want to check that, there's instructions in the Module 0 folder on how to forward your emails to whatever email address you're going to check. So just make sure that you have some connection between your Blackboard shell and your email, because this is where we're going to do majority of our communication. The syllabus and schedule, this is where you're going to find that syllabus. There's not going to be not much going on there. And then the course modules, labs, and exams, this folder, this is where you're going to spend most of your time. Each module itself is self-contained, so once you click into these folders, everything you need is going to be there. So for instance, this week, we're going to be doing Module 1, and you'll see that there's not much that we're doing. We're just going to have the Intro to Fitness Assessment. So let's go to Module 2, because it's a little bit... So we have our labs, and in Module 2 you see that we have 3 labs. So we're looking at our Lecture 1, and then in a full on face-to-face course, this lecture would be done on the Tuesday, but since we're doing a blended course, the Tuesday lecture is going to be online with a video screencast. So those will launch next week. My intention is to have new content loaded every Monday for you to kind of go through for the following week. Every Tuesday for the following week. And then you will be able to watch those videos, do the pre-lab over the weekend. You have 7 days or 8 days to do it. And then we do that lab on Thursday with that activity. Each lab is contained in a folder. So you have the actual notes, the lecture notes with the video. And then you click on the lab. You'll have the lab information, any of the supporting aspects. Everything for this course is done either live in person or digitally online through digital submission through Blackboard. And in the Module 0 folder, there's a whole tutorial set up on how to submit assignments via Blackboard. You would have this Word document, so I'll click on this, and I have this brought up already here. And you can do your lab, your data collection, or in this case, this is a remote or take-home lab. You would kind of type here, fill out your answers, save this. You save this document, and then you'd come back to the Blackboard shell here, and you'd click here, and you could submit your file. So again, I just did that quick demonstration. There's a more detailed and slower tutorial in the Module 0 folder on how to do this. But just keep in mind that if there's an assignment, dictated by this pencil and ruler, the document that you're going to need to submit is going to be tagged along with it. Right? So there's nothing you need to print out from another source. You don't have to, there's not a lab book that you tear out a sheet and fill that out. Everything's provided for you in the Blackboard shell, and everything is conducted. This one is the only one that you do outside. All the other labs will do in class together. So how students usually manage that is that you can either have your device and enter it as you can. You can have a piece of paper and write things down, or you can print it out, and then let's say you're the type of person that want to do everything by hand, you can print it out, and then you don't have to submit it digitally in terms of the actual document. You can either scan it or take a photo of it and upload it that way. So as long as the filled out document makes it to me, I don't really care how you do it, right? Whether it's a scan, a copy, or a handwritten aspect. And then you'll see through here that you have the keys for the labs, and so anything supported that. And once we're done with this lab, so this is a lab we'll be doing remotely that you'll do over the weekend and into next week. Then the following week, the lab is done. Now, each lab has a pre-lab quiz to it. So one of the things you'll have to have completed before you show up for that Thursday lab session is the online Blackboard quiz. So it's on a timed release, but you'll see in the same spot that you have the lab, you'll see the pre-lab quiz. The quiz opens the day that I launch the lecture materials. So for instance, this Thursday, I'll launch the lecture materials for next week. You'll have over the weekend until that Tuesday to watch the video. You'll read the corresponding chapter material, and then you'll take the pre-lab quiz. So this will launch on Thursday, and then the lab or the quiz then goes away and it's no longer available the day of the. So you have a full week to go through that material. So that's the pre-lab quiz. Every lab has that pre-lab quiz, and they're not difficult quizzes. It's just to hold you accountable that you went through the lab material. So you'll have the lecture material that supports the lab activity, maybe the science or rationale behind what we're doing, some of the programming or the designing coming from the results of our lab. And then the pre-lab quiz itself is more on the technical aspect of what you're going to do that day. And as I was saying, it's really meant to hold you accountable that you just preliminarily went through the lab, you looked it over so that you're showing up Thursday and you're not, okay, what are we doing today, right? You already know because you read through the lab and you took a quiz on it, passed it, and then you're ready to go for our lab activity. So we can optimize our time and getting right into it. And then if we finish early, you finish early, but I'd rather have you over-prepared than under-prepared and us wasting time on our lab activity. So that's the nature of the pre-lab quizzes. So just make sure you're reading through the material, going through the content, watching the videos, and having everything done before we meet as in a group for our lab activity. Okay, so I want to redirect you to the syllabus, and we'll take a look at that. And I want to go through the testing aspect in terms of our midterm, our practical, and our final. And those three assessments plus the labs make up the majority of the course. So under syllabus and schedule, which I have pulled up here. So this is the class, some dates here for you to kind of be aware of, the withdrawal dates. This is me. You can call me Jonathan. I don't have any active office hours on campus this semester, but I'm 100% available online via Zoom. Quick questions. We have the benefit of being on campus together so we can meet. If you want to read through here, basically Mondays I'm available from 3 to 6, Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 8 to 11, and just send me an email that you want to set up a meeting and we can schedule a Zoom meeting and we can meet just like we're doing here, but more of an interactive aspect. So in terms of our grading, you'll see here that we have a written midterm and a practical midterm. So the written midterm is what you would expect for a comprehensive test for the modules that we did through the vitals and body composition, heart rate, and blood pressure. That will all be like the science behind that, not so much programming based. And then we actually do a practical skills test so that you actually come in and you will conduct a fitness assessment either on another student or myself. We'll play dumb, and you'll have to come in, do the test, and you'll be observed by me or another, if you're performing on me, by another faculty member, and you're basically graded on this practical aspect. So it's a little bit of a stressful aspect because you have to practice what you teach and perform in the moment, but students do really well, and I think it is the best way to learn these skills. So that's the first half of the course. The second half of the course, those first set of fitness assessments are looking at more passive assessments, so looking at your cardiovascular function, not function, but like heart rate, blood pressure, body anthropometrics, so girth measurements, and then body composition. So that's usually the client passively participating and you are assessing them. The second half of the class gets into the movement assessment. So you're looking at strength assessment, cardiovascular assessment, movement flexibility assessment, and this is where the client's actually doing something. And so then these also serve the basis for your programming. So how are you going to manipulate the variables to design an exercise program to enhance the results of those assessments? So in that case, we don't have a practical at the end of the semester. What we do is we have case studies where you're given a client situation, and then based on the results of the data, the lab is the collection of the data. But then instead of us testing you on your ability to have someone do a sit and reach test or a functional movement screen, what we're testing you now and is, okay, now that you have that data, can you interpret it and then turn it into something effective that can help them change those numbers? And so instead of doing that's going to be more case-based and case study. And then the final exam is a comprehensive of a client. Basically, here's a client, here's your data, design an exercise program for them. Where are some of the key issues that you need to address, and go on from there. So that's how the second part of the semester goes. The final exam is not comprehensive. It is based on the second part of the course. So it's really two courses in split in half. So the first half is what we talked about, and then the second half are the case assignments, more case-based. So that's it. Your grade is really on participation in terms of the labs, and then your fulfillment of the labs, and then your performance of the skills, the practical midterm, and the final. And you can see that's pretty equally weighted. So if you really mess up on one area, it's not going to hurt you too bad because you have opportunity for points elsewhere. So there's a lot of points in this. But as long as you're keeping with the material on the Tuesday that it's launched, and then you have that like 10 days, so Tuesday to the next Thursday to go through that material, you'll see that there's a little bit of overlap. You take the pre-lab quiz, you show up, you're ready to go at it on the Thursday for the lab. You'll do fine in this test, in this class. So I look forward to working with you guys, and if you have any questions, shoot me an email.